Neo-Pastoralist Manifesto. 1. Endarkenment, deliberate inculcation of irrational superstition and pagan animist fear of nature. End the war on nature with victory for fairies and black snails. 2. Secular Anabaptism. If you can't revert to the Stone Age, at least you can join the Amish in 1907. No electricity or infernal combustion or telephone. 3. Escapism. Emulate the Anabaptists and drop out. Strategic retreat. Claim religious exemption from modern world. Flee to places of authentic sadness. 4. Impuritanism. Rejects all purist theory. Strategic autonomy is made up of tactical, incremental, empirical freedoms, not ideology. Thus, we do not advocate pure revived animism, but rather the repaganization of monotheism, an impure Santeria or hoodoo, not moral but magical. 5. Green Hermeticism. Against green capitalism, green party, green tourism, green development, and other attempts to hijack the sacred color. Eco-remediation is alchemy. Paracelsian nature elementals. Egypto-Greco-Roman, Kabbalah, Gnostic, Sufi, Rosicrucian, German, Romantic, Naturwissenschaft. 6. Radical agrarian populism. Kropotkin, Zapata, The Grange, and Farmers Alliance. Ignatius Donnelly, Against Banks and Monopolies. Last-ditch defense of all wild and pastoral remnants. Infiltration and radicalization of tepid green reformism to promote green anti-capitalism. Neo-Luddite machine smashing and IWW-style sabotage. 7. Hieroglyphic terrorism. Aesthetic sabotage. Situationist tactics. Power to the imagination. Beyond all hope of actual revolution, totality of the image must be attacked via image magic, poetic terrorism, not in expectation of destroying it, but simply to define a possible outside, even if that outside turns out to be failure itself. 8. Queer pastoralism. Quote, the unnatural is also unnatural, Goethe. The pastoral uncanny. Our relation with nature is tragically flawed by civilization, or perhaps even self-consciousness itself. The queerness of our desire for union with nature is symbolized by the Orphic cult of Paracelsian Tantra, sex with nature elementals, as attested by Cornelius Agrippa, the Comte de Gabalis, etc. From the POV of the technopathocracy, even normal reproductive sexuality becomes perverse and archaic, and the defense of nature a crime. 9. Saturn rules both Saturnine melancholia and Saturnalian excess. Neo-pastoralism embraces both. Turn of the Golden Age. 10. Thelemite Panthesocracy. Coleridge, Southey, Joseph Priestley, and others return to nature, political romanticism, realized in the spirit of Rabelais and Aleister Crowley's thelemic will, with influences from anarchist arts and crafts and German life reform movements, von der Vogel, sun worshippers, Nordic pagans, nudists, Nietzschean anti-authoritarians, and sex liberationists. In the tradition of Swedenborgian, Fourierist American communalism and philosophical anarchism of Josiah Warren, Stephen Pearl Andrews, Lysander Spooner. 11. Neo-pastoralist avant-garde can revive the romantic tradition of art as revolt, which postmodernism is supposed to have killed. thus renewing mystic and even direct links to surrealism, especially in its late anarcho-hermetic period, and psychedelic leftism, Blake's everlasting gospel, the religion of nature. 12, armed nostalgia, cultural zapatismo, critical Luddism, evade the death of theory by oblique movements into empirical practice, militant beat Zen, uprising against virtuality and mediation, violence at an impossible angle to police power. We know of no actual examples. We're well into the fantasy realm here. Sword and sorcery. 13, temporary pastoral zones. Maximize potential for emergence of Virgilian moments in everyday life. Nature will not be dead until the body disappears. The bucolic remains possible, even if only as summer vacation. Appendix, the temporary pastoral zone. A version of the temporary autonomous zone, or TAZ, as deliberately anti-tech, outdoor, actual topographic setup for ecstatic communion with nature via aesthetic social action. Ranging in scope from simple picnic in countryside with songs around campfire to complex, semi-permanent, quasi-liberated zones. How long can you keep it going? Afternoon? Week? Season? Use rainbow tactic of eliminating money from the TPZ. Restore economy of the gift, if only for a day. Eliminate electricity and infernal combustion from the zone. Luxury of dark and silence. Leave some tobacco or spill some wine for local spirits. Cultivate the Bakhtinian grotesque. Risk some ritual. Commit some excess. Consume some fantastica. Facilitate theophany. Will to power as art. Illusion's value for life. Acoustic instruments. The lute as Hermes' turtle. Upright piano on the lodge house veranda. Kerosene lamps. Moths batting at the screens. Lemonade and flirtation. Leave the modern world behind, if only for a month, at some decrepit Catskill camp. Viva voce readings from Virgil, Sir Walter Scott, some desultory fishing, but define it as an act of resistance. Psychogeographic pilgrimages and drifts to holy rustic shrines and pastoral landscapes, not as passive tourism, but coherent actions for re-enchantment of the toposphere. I have in mind the woodcut in the Hypnerotomachia Polyphily showing the hyper-pastoral procession of Vertumnus and Pomona, refigured as neo-pastoralist outdoor theater in motion, the temporary pastoralist zone as work of art.